Cody Wood grew up on a ranch near Jacksonville, Florida, where his parents instilled values of persistence and honest hard work, values which still drive him today as he builds his own ranch in picturesque Montana, north of Yellowstone National Park. In sports and in life, these principles have helped him navigate inevitable challenges while pursuing a bachelor's in sociology, a master's of divinity, and currently his MBA. Education aside, little is formal about Cody. He believes his most important life lessons came not from the classroom, but from challenging and even painful situations in which he learned to be comfortable with the uncomfortable and to simply appreciate the journey. His passion for young people is illustrated by his career in foster care, and his greatest pride is children who count themselves blessed to grow up with their dad's warrior spirit, summed up in Cody's favorite quote. Out of every 100 men, 10 shouldn't even be there. 80 are just targets. 9 are the real fighters, and we are lucky to have them, for they make the battle. But the one is a warrior, and he will bring the others back. Heraclitus, Greek philosopher. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Changemakers on Yippiekiyay TV. Today we are super excited to have Cody Wood on the show. Cody has a rich history launching and working with nonprofits, so thank you for coming, Cody.
Thanks, Jackie. I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much. So let's dive in. So can you tell me a little bit about your history in the nonprofit industry?
Well, I've spent about 17 years in the nonprofit world. I've worked in many different forms of nonprofits, already established nonprofits, 3, in fact, that I've helped to start and to launch. They've ranged anywhere from children's mental health organizations to adoptive services to also ministries and schools.
So out of all that great work you've done, do you have a favorite story that you can share of someone, a particular person that you've helped?
Well, that's actually a tough question. Over the years, I've had so many different opportunities to hopefully impact people's lives. But one that literally just happened in the last week, I was on Facebook and saw just a picture of a young man that I used to work with at the Yellowstone Boys and Girls Ranch. And this guy he came into our program at 8 years old, and that was about 10 years ago. And this kid is now graduating high school. And that is an amazing accomplishment for this young man. There were times where we weren't so sure that would happen. We weren't so sure that he would be in a family for very long. And because of the great support, the great work of this nonprofit and of the foster family that he's been a part of this whole time, this kid has got a future, and he's graduating high school.
That is really great to hear. So that kind of leads me to my next question then. How is your life different now as a result of this great experience working with a variety of nonprofits?
My life is different. Mainly in the way I see situations and the way I see things. There's so many needs in our society. There's so many needs in our individual communities. And so many times we run into people that, recognize the need, but are a little hesitant to actually try and fulfill that need. And I know that my work in the nonprofit world has really opened my eyes to, okay, yeah, we have societal problems, we have societal issues, but there is an outlet to be able to try and meet those needs. And it just takes a matter of really rallying a group of people around you and around a cause. And you really can make a difference with a small group of people pulling towards the same goal.
So that's really interesting, and I'm glad you shared that because I know now things are a little bit different for you. You're an entrepreneur working for a for-profit, so I'm curious to know how that experience that you had in the nonprofit industry might have translated over into what you do now in your for-profit. So can you speak to us a little bit about that?
It's been a very interesting process because the nonprofit world and the for-profit world in some ways are universes apart, but in other ways they're very, very similar. We all have a great heart. We're all looking to change the world, but then how do we have the capital to actually do so? So what we end up doing is become great salesmen, and we sell. But the thing is with that, there's no tangible good in most cases. There's no tangible asset that we're trying to sell. We're trying to sell a vision. We're trying to sell the future. We're trying to sell what things could be. And frankly, that's a intangible asset.
That's excellent. It's more selling an experience.
One of my first clients that I've worked with, he actually told me that the reason he wanted to work with me was because he felt very comfortable with me. He felt like he could talk to me. And he said in other people that he's worked with in this arena, he hasn't felt that level of comfort. He hasn't felt that level of really a personal connection, which in the nonprofit world, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for that personal connection to be able to sell that experience, to be able to sell that vision.
Thanks for sharing that. We see a lot more a lot of that. We're going to switch gears a little bit. Back to your nonprofit experience. How did you find out about Yippiekiyay?
Well, I found out about Yippiekiyay because of my work at the Yellowstone Boys and Girls Ranch. Christian LaFleur was a foster parent at YBGR, and I was the case manager for them. And Christian went on to adopt a little girl. And through that experience, I got to know Christian and know what he was doing. And by this point, I had actually already started 2 nonprofits from the ground up. And frankly, the IRS paperwork was a bear. I did not enjoy doing all of that. It was very time consuming, very difficult. And then whenever I went to start my 3rd nonprofit, I said, yeah, I'm not going to do this again. I'm not going to deal with the IRS. It's worth paying Christian and Yippiekiyay to just get the paperwork done for me and to submit it and file it and do what needs to be done with the IRS. The process was very simple, very user-friendly. Everything is laid out on the website. You just have to walk through it step by step. It's pretty self-explanatory. Very different than the first 2 times whenever I worked directly with the state and with the federal IRS. Their system is very complicated, very convoluted, and Yippiekiyay has been able to really simplify everything, and it got me away from the computer, away from the minutia, and really out in the streets doing the good work.
Did you have any hesitations about working with Yippiekiyay?
Actually I did. I'm the kind of guy that if I can do it myself, I'd rather just do it myself and not pay anybody else. So if the plumbing goes bad in my house, if I've got a leaky faucet, I'm going to try and fix that without paying somebody to come in and do it if I feel like I can do that. So there was this hesitation about, am I really going to get value out of what I'm going to pay Yippiekiyay to get done? That was my main hesitation. And now having done it twice without Yippiekiyay and once with Yippiekiyay, I'll never file a nonprofit again without using Yippiekiyay.
You are an inspiration. What's your top piece of advice for someone looking to launch a nonprofit?
I think my top piece of advice would be, as simple as it sounds, just to never, ever give up. Don't quit on the mission. Don't quit on the vision. And even if it doesn't seem like much is going on, just keep pushing, keep chipping away at it. One of the things that I do on the side, which is more my therapy than it is anything, is I do a lot of woodworking. And I do woodworking with reclaimed lumber. And some of the most incredible pieces of wood that I have are ones that have been a part of a grain elevator. And for over 100 years, little pieces of grain have hit that wood over and over and over again. And one piece of wood or one piece of grain hitting that wood really doesn't do much. But over time, that grain wears away at that wood and it creates some really beautiful pieces. And it's the same way in our lives. It's the same way in our nonprofit world. We just keep chipping away, and it might not look exactly like what we think it's going to look like, but in the end, you'll have something really beautiful. And just don't quit, even if you don't see the result right then.
Thanks for sharing that. You're a great guy, super inspiring. I cannot thank you enough for coming on the show today.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.